Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter, and this is Paint and Sip at Home. Today, I'm going to be painting baby feet, and I'm sipping on some green tea. And if you enjoy this process, I do hope that you like and subscribe to my channel, and that you also check out my Patreon page where you'll find additional painting perks such as this one. So this painting that I did today is inspired by a photo that was submitted by one of my Patreon members by the name of Bobby Murray. One of the benefits that I have for the members is that every now and again I'll put out a call for photos. They'll submit the photos. I select some of them and turn them into YouTube tutorials so they can learn how to paint their own photo, and so can you. But as a thank you, I will send the original painting off to whoever submitted the photo. So if you're interested in learning how you too could submit your photos, and or more about the membership program, the Patreon membership program, where there's a bunch of other benefits that you get to use to increase your artistic and your painting skills, I have all of that information down below in the video description. So let's get painting and let's get sipping. All right, so for my materials today, I'm going to be using a stretched and primed 16 by 20 inch canvas. If you're painting along, you can certainly switch up the size, but that's what I'll be using. I'm going to be using acrylic paint today. My colors are Mars Black, Burnt Umber, which I like to call brown, and Titanium White. And of course you can switch those up if you'd like to. For my tools today, I have a white piece of chalk that I'm going to be using for some drawing. And then I have 3 brushes from my personal brush line, which is Michelle the Painter brushes. I have a 1-inch wide flat bristle brush. I have a number 8 round synthetic brush. And I have a number 3 round synthetic brush, and I might refer to these as small, medium, and large as we go through the painting process, or I will just call them out by name. And of course you can switch those up as well. If you're painting along with me, you're probably going to want to have some kind of cup of water to wash your brushes, as well as some kind of paper or towel to dry your brushes. I use a paper towel, but you can use whatever kind you want. And down below this video, in the video description, I do provide you with a few additional resources that can help you throughout your painting process. One of them is a link to my shop where you could purchase the same exact paint kit that I'm using, from the same size and type of canvas to the same type of paint and brushes and all the good stuff in between. You can also purchase from my shop things individually, like the brushes from my brush line. So that's there. There's also a link where you can download a free image of the final painting. So you can print that and use it as visual reference as you go through the painting process. And there's also written step-by-step instructions down there for you as well. And that's all we're going to need today. Alright, so what we're going to do for the first step is we're going to be painting a base coat onto the canvas. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush. The color I'm going to be using is just black. So I want to have just a really nice dark base to work off of. I am going to be doing this primarily grayscale. I'm using brown in my color selection in order to steer the tones of my grays into warmer and cooler tones. But this nice dark background is going to really just make sure that I have all of my shadows as deep as they can go, and I can build all of my tones on top of it, all of my shades of gray on top of it. I like to, when I'm doing a flat background like this, I like to go around the sides first because I have a tendency to miss them, so I kind of hit them first, and then I just give these nice long broad strokes to cover the rest of the canvas. I know that my black will cover pretty darn well, but if you have any spots that you might have missed during this initial application process, you could certainly do a second coat if you wanted to. There are going to be a few areas that we don't ever touch again, like there's going to be a couple areas like up at the top and down in the bottom left and the right corner that we don't touch again throughout the painting process. So if you do feel that you need or want to do a second coat so you have a really solid black for a background, then you could certainly do that. And then once you have this all done, we are going to be using our drawing utensil for the next step. So you can just put this brush away, take out something to draw with, and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to draw an outline for the hands and the feet. I'm going to be using my white chalk. You can certainly use any drawing utensil that's comfortable to you. I do recommend that your canvas is dry before you start this step as well. I'm going to guide you through a series of markers. We're going to connect those markers, and by the time we're done, we'll have basic shapes for these hands and feet that we can use to during the painting and process. We're not going for any fine-tuned detail. We're just going for something that is representational of 2 little baby feet and 2 adult hands. So I'm going to guide you to find yourself the center of the canvas, top to bottom, left to right. So for me, that falls somewhere in this vicinity. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to actually draw the feet first, and then we'll build the hands around the feet. So I've got these 2 feet. They're in kind of a little bit different position from one another, but we're going to start both of them with a similar shape. It's going to be kind of like a bean type of a shape, or the bottom of a foot type of shape. So this is the center of my canvas. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go down about 1.5 inches and give myself a little bit of a marker. I'm going to do our left foot, but the baby's right foot first. So this is going to represent the bottom of the heel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of diagonally from that about 9 to 9.5 inches, which will bring me somewhere in this vicinity here. So this is probably about 1, 2, 3.5, 4 inches from the top left of my canvas and about 2 inches in. So that'll be, the toes are going to be above that, but this is going to be the top of that generic shape that we're going to do. So then what I can do from here is come down maybe about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and then I'm going to give myself a couple more markers that are about 4.5 inches wide. So somewhere in here and in here. So this will represent kind of the widest part of the foot. Now I can connect all 4 of these markers with my bottom of the foot shape. So I'm going to take from here, I'm going to give myself a little curve in through here. I'm going to bring it to this marker, and then I'm going to give myself a big curve to connect these markers. This maybe is a little bit more, comes out a little bit further up and through here. And then as I come back down to here, if you want to just give yourself that, finish the heel, so you don't make it too narrow, you can just kind of curve this like this and then dip it in just a little bit at the arch of the foot. It's a baby's foot, so it's not going to have a super wide arch or arch in the foot. So something like that. And these little bumps here, I didn't mean to do those. That can be kind of a smooth shape. We're going to do a similar shape to this over here, and then we'll put on some little toes and form them so they are in a different position from one another. So then the other heel is going to go, if this was the bottom of this one, if I just go to the right of that, maybe about 1/2 inch, maybe, and then just kind of come down a little bit, this will be the bottom center of it. And then again, I'm going to go diagonally, but this time I'm going up towards the top right of my canvas. So I would say I'd probably about maybe 1, 2, 3 in from the right and maybe about 2 inches down. And then again, I'm going to come down a couple of inches, maybe 2, 3 inches, give myself that width that's about 4.5 inches wide, and now I can connect these shapes. So this side will be the easiest because it's kind of just the flat outside part of the foot. So something like this, and then just bring it up into here. Then I can take this and connect to this guy, bring it over just a little bit more, and then as I come down this side, this is where I'm going to have that slight arc in the foot. Oh, you could have done the heel first. I told you to do the heel first on the other one. It was a little easier. There we go. So now I have two that are similar in size, in shape. They don't need to be exact, but just similar. I'm going to put the toes on this one first because this one's a little bit easier. We're going to keep the basic shape of the foot the same. We're just going to add some toes. So the big toe is going to go in through here with just a little bump like that. And then the small toe, I'm going to do the small toe next so you don't run out of room. So the little toe is going to come over here and just give a bump like that. So now I need 3 toes in the middle. And if you don't want to run out of space, if you just kind of eyeball like the center between these two and go directly up, that'll give you the center toe. And now you won't put them out of proportion. Now you just kind of give yourself one bump here and one bump here, and now you've got equal space, and so you don't have one toe that's way bigger or way smaller than the other. This side's going to be a little bit differently because I am going, being inspired by a photo reference, and the feet are in different positions. This one's kind of a little bit more arced, so we see the kind of mid part of the foot is bent a little bit, so I'm going to buckle out this section in through here. So right about in through here, I'm just going to bring myself out just a little bit further and then just bring it into that arch of the foot. I'm also going to give myself a little side bump in through here. So about midway, somewhere in through here, and somewhere in through here, I'm just going to kind of bump this out just a little bit. That's going to give me the outside edge of that foot. So I'm going to do the same thing with the toes, but again, we're seeing this one at a little bit different angle, so these toes are kind of splayed out a little bit further. So I'm going to put the big toe on. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to give the big toe in through there, and then my little toe is actually over on the side over in through here. So I'm going to take it from this marker here, and we're seeing kind of a big part of the small toe. It's actually going to come into here, the tip of it. So that'll be the small toe. Then we can do the same kind of exercise we did on the left-hand side, which is kind of find the middle of these two. For me, it's somewhere in through here. I can give myself a bump. Now I've got equal kind of space in between the other toes. Again, these toes are a little skewed because of the angle. So this one is going to look a little bit bigger, and then this one's a little bit taller. And again, this is just the exterior profile. So that's the feet. I do need to make a little connecting line, which is going to be where this ankle of this one is going to go. So I just make a little connecting line in through there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hand that's holding this foot on. So I've got my halfway point of my center of my canvas. I'm going to go over to the side, find myself halfway up or down the right hand side of this canvas. So somewhere in through here, I'm going to go up from that about an inch. Give myself a marker. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the center of the bottom of my canvas and go to the right of that. I would say maybe about an inch and a half. So, well, maybe a little bit further than that. So I feel like I'm a little skewed off here, maybe about 2 inches, somewhere in through here. That's going to give me another marker. I'm going to now go from this marker and go over maybe about an inch and a half, another marker, and then over about 2 inches and give myself another marker. So just so you kind of understand where these 3 markers are, if I go straight up from this one, I'm landing in the center of the bottom of the heel. If I go straight up from this one, I'm somewhere in this vicinity. And if I go straight up from this one, I'm somewhere in through here. That just gives you kind of a good relationship to where those markers fall. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this marker to the center one. So as I do this, I do not need this to be a super straight line. It's almost going to be better if you have little kind of ripples. Well, that was kind of a little bit more, too much of a ripple, but not super straight. That'll make it a little bit more natural looking. Then what I can do is I'm going to come down from here about 2.5 to 3 inches, somewhere in this vicinity. It's almost maybe just a little bit lower than the heel here. And I can connect here to here with, again, not a super straight line, something like that. That's going to be one finger. I have another big finger coming in through here. So somewhere right around this, the intersecting point, that's going to be another marker that's going to connect to here. So this is going to be a finger that we're going to see quite a bit of detail on. So if you kind of give it maybe 1, 2, kind of 3 slight bumps, that'll be the 3 joints of the finger. So that's going to be that part of that one. Now I'm going to put the thumb up in through here. So if I find myself about the center of the top and go to the right, maybe about 1.5 to 2 inches, give myself a marker. And then I'm going to come up this heel a little bit. So if this is my halfway point, I'm going to go up that heel maybe about another inch, somewhere in through there. This is going to be my thumb. I'm going to connect here to here. But what it's going to do, it's going to come out for the knuckle, and then it's going to kind of dip in for the nail bed. So I'm going to take it, so I should probably give you where the knuckle is going to land. You're going to be dead center in your canvas, maybe about, almost dead center, maybe a little bit to the right, somewhere in through here. So a couple inches to the left of that part, and pretty center in your canvas. So I'm going to take from here to here. I'm going to connect this to here, and then I'm going to bring it in like this, and then it kind of shoots almost straight down, and then you can just round it back up to that marker. So that hand is done. Now we're going to put the other hand on. So I'm going to come up to the top left-hand corner of my canvas and come down about 1/2 inch, somewhere in through here. And then I'm going to be about mid knuckle area in through here, between like my nail bed and my knuckle, somewhere in through here. And I'm going to connect here to here. This is going to be this thumb, so I'm going to see like this part of the hand. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to give it a little bit of a bump. I'm going to take it from here, a little bit of a bump, and then this is going to be the thumb in through here, like that. Then I need to give the bottom side of this thumb. So I'm going to come up this one a little bit, maybe right into here. I'm just going to give it a curve to meet the foot, like this. So now we've just segregated that. This is going to become the baby's ankle. That's going to be the hand. And then on this side, I need to put the outside part of the hand. So I'm going to go to the left of this little pinky toe, and somewhere in through here, and maybe just down just a little bit, somewhere in through here. And then I'm going down to the bottom of my canvas, the center of the bottom of my canvas. So just follow that down to the bottom. I'm going to connect this marker to here. This is, let's see if I can model that. This is this part of the hand. So we're seeing this part of the outside. Oh no, it's this part. the forefinger, we're seeing the forefinger. So once I've got this in through here, I'm going to drop it just a little bit. So like this, drop it just a little bit. And then I'm going to come over and meet my marker in through there. Now I just have to put the inside part of these fingers in through here. So I'm going to come up this marker here, maybe about 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to come up this heel, maybe somewhere in this vicinity. So if you go straight up from here, I'm kind of where that thumb, the top thumb, meets the foot. I can connect these guys with maybe just the subtle bumps in through there. I'm just going to do another little sliver for the next finger. So a little sliver like this for the next finger. And then the next finger over is, we can see it more in the photo. So I'm going to start that one about here, and it's going to end somewhere in through here. And I do see a couple of the joints, so I'm going to maybe do 1, 2, that was probably a little aggressive of a bump, and 3, but that's okay, we can fix that during the painting process. And then we have the little pinky that's sticking out. So the pinky is going to come out somewhere in this vicinity, like that. And don't worry at this point if yours isn't totally looking like everything's in proper proportion, because we certainly can modify all those little nuances during the painting process. But this is as far as I'm going to take my drawing. So once you've got yours to this place, you can put your drawing utensil away. I'm going to be using my number 8 round brush for the next step, so you can just get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the base coat onto the hands and the feet. I'm going to be using my number 8 round brush, and the colors I'm going to use are black, brown, and white, which is probably going to be the colors I'm going to use in every single step from here on out. Just kidding, because I'm making some shades of gray too, so those will be some colors. So in this step, I actually am going to pre-mix 2 shades of gray. I'm going to call it my cool gray and my warm gray. So I have pre-mixed them here. They're a mid-tone, so not too light, not too dark, somewhere just in the middle. This is my cool gray. How I achieved this is just black and white. So I love using different temperatures of gray within my grayscale paintings because I feel it adds a lot of depth and dimension to it. So that's why I incorporate my brown to give myself some different tones, temperatures of my colors. So I have black and white, and I'm just spinning them together until I get a mid-tone color. So mid-tone ranges probably, if you were to give it a number scale, somewhere between, like, I don't know, 4 to 6. So I need a little bit, a scale of 1 to 10, I guess. I guess I could have clarified what the scale was. So just making this into the color that I want. I just keep adding little dollops of white in order to get it into the value that I'm looking for. So that's my mid-tone value, and it's on the cooler side because I just used black and white. You could make it even cooler by adding a touch of blue to it, but I'm going to just do this painting with these 3 colors. So then I'm going to wash my brush, which I guess was not that entirely necessary. And here's my warm gray. So this is made up of quite a bit of brown and white, and then I add a touch of black to give it that gray look. So if I just go brown and white, I'm going to end up with a tan color, but I want it to read as gray, so that's where my my black is going to come into play. I probably added a little bit too much there, so I need a little bit more white. And I'm going to be using the warm gray as the base coat for the baby's feet and the cool gray for the base coat for the adult hands. And the reason I'm doing that is because warm tones are going to appear to be closer to the viewer than cool tones. So I want the baby's feet to look a little bit closer to the viewer, so that's where I'm opting to go. So I am done with my mixing. I'm actually going to wash my brush because I want to do the adult hands first. So once I've got my colors I want, I really just am going to paint the entire area, but I'm going to utilize the black base coat in any areas that I feel I might really want to understand where a shadow is going to go. So on this particular part of the anatomy, I'm going to have some shadows like underneath this hand. So if or underneath the thumb. So if I wanted to, in this stage, just kind of slow down around these edges. If I wanted to, I could take and just not use a heavy coat of paint in those areas that are going to be a little bit darker. So as you're running out of paint on your brush, you can use that to your advantage by allowing for it to kind of fade into the darkness. I'm not going to do that too much on this step, but it is there as an option if you're more advanced and you understand how to kind of grade out those colors using more of a dry brush technique. You could certainly do that. So I'm going to just kind of color this in right now. And I am leaving a bit of my outline so I don't end up making my my objects grow too big. I know for me, I have a tendency if I lose my outline, especially when it's going to be just a floating outline. I know I'm not going to be doing anything more to this background. So if I lose my my outline here, I don't know where to stop. So every time I go to paint, I might make that grow. So as I am going through my process, I have to be mindful of those kind of things in order to not skew that initial sketch or whatever you're using as your tool to get you through that the shape of that particular object. So for me, again, I use a lot of these basic drawings for my start of my paintings, and they really do help guide me through keeping the shape of that particular object. So this is where, like, when I go up to that foot, I just kind of use just a little bit of paint on my brush as opposed to this exterior where I'm using it heavier. I am going to have shadows and stuff along the edges of the fingers. Where I have two fingers meeting here, I know that one of them is going to be shadowed, and it's probably going to be the one underneath, the one that rests underneath the other one. So that could be a spot where I just use a little bit of paint as opposed to a lot of bit of paint. The fingers themselves, as I'm getting into these fingers, again, just going to kind of leave a little bit of my guideline visible so I don't miss where I wanted those the separation. I might even just kind of hardly use any paint in this particular area. Maybe that little finger gets hardly any on it. So as I'm going through this, I'm just thinking, okay, well, this is going to be my base coat. I know I'm going to have lots of highlights and shadows. I am doing this in grayscale, so I know that there's going to be the issue of just making sure that I have enough different tones so the viewer can understand the different parts of what it is I'm trying to translate. So when I'm going in towards these smaller objects, I'm using that black background to help me just start this value shift process. I want to do her other hand. I'm going to call her a her, because in the photo it looks like a feminine hand because of the fingernails on it and kind of the slender shape of the fingers. I could be wrong, but it's what it looks like to me. So I'm gonna call it a feminine hand. So I'm thinking that this might be a mother and her young infant baby feet, which are so super cute and sweet. I don't know where I was going with that before I went on my tangent about it being a female hand. But you can, I'm using that black background to help me with these, like I was saying, the gradients of the, oops, I just put my brush in the warm gray, but I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna go up and pick up the cool gray. So there might be a little warmer spot up and through here, but I'm gonna be using the both the warm and the cool on both the mom and the baby's feet, but I wanted to just kind of start them off in these different tones. One, so I have a better shot at getting those baby feet to pop out a little bit more. And look a little bit closer to the viewer, even though this one here, the heel is actually kind of shadowed under the mom's hand, which you'll notice later as I get towards that process. But it's okay if you accidentally stick your brush into the warm gray instead of the cool gray like I did. You know. It's all okay. We make little boo-boos and then we can easily fix them. That's the beauty of painting, especially acrylic paint, because acrylic paint is so easy to correct and to make adjustments along the way. And again, I'm just bringing this all the way down. This is where those little tonal value that I used less paint on my brush. Now if I use more paint on my brush, it's going to look lighter because it's going to be less able to see the background through it. So gray is awesome for its opacity, which means it's difficult to see through it. So if you want it to be as light as it can be, you just put it on heavier and you won't be able to see the color underneath. And then I'm just going to kind of use less paint over here. So I'm just kind of allowing myself to run out of paint and just kind of scrubbing it on here. But I accidentally just went over my guideline, which is fine. And then this finger here, I think I'm really just gonna kind of use just the remnants on my brush to dry brush this finger on here so I can see the difference between those two fingers. And this finger here in the photo is more in the shadows than any of them, so I can get away with using very minimal paint on this bottom finger in through here. So just kind of dry brushing it with the interior part of my bristles like that. And then I just have the baby's feet, so I don't need to really wash my brush. If you want to, you certainly can, but I'm just going to pick up some of the warm gray, and I'm going to get this little area in through here. And I'm just going to go right up to my guidelines. I am going to leave a little bit of the guideline from here to the ankle because I think that's going to be important during the painting process. We are going to make those two areas merge together with highlights and shadows, so it's not just a firm line from the foot to the ankle, but I think it's important to remember where that is. When you get up to the toes, we don't need that guideline anymore because that's actually going to be, the toes land somewhere else. The in-between parts of the toes and the joints of the toes, they land elsewhere. On the foot, I just used that guideline to show you so we could get a good basic shape around it. And then I'm just going to kind of paint in these little toes. And you can see as I'm adding this warm gray on here how different of a color it is than the cool gray. So it's just a great way to approach a grayscale painting because you can have those different temperatures of gray. Still call it a grayscale, even though I guess there could be some debate there if I'm using brown in my grayscale painting, but I'm using the brown to alter the temperature of the gray, which allows me to get these different a lot of depth. This foot seems pretty dark here, so in the photo, so I'm just going to kind of rub out that paint so I have it a little bit darker in through there. And it's also a little bit darker there too, so I guess I could have done the same thing in through here. So again, I'm using the darkness from underneath to help me with that. I'm going to go move on to this foot over here. This foot's going to be really bright by the time we're done, so I can just load the paint on, especially on this left-hand side, and just go in close, if not right up to my guideline. These guidelines, where it meets the adult hand, you can certainly get rid of because you're going to continue to paint both of those areas. It's when you're, primarily for me, when I've got that either two of the same color next to each other that I don't want to lose the idea of where those were, or I'm working next to a color that I know I'm not going to touch again. That's when I want to definitely make sure I don't lose where that guideline is, because I could very easily distort my painting. And then again, the guideline that I had given you for that original shape of the foot, you can just paint right over, and you can paint these little toes as bright as you want to because they're going to be nice and bright. So something like this. And then I'm going to bring that right up to the tippy toes. And you could also, if you wanted to, with your black, which I didn't mention when I was doing the initial coat, you could take that black and wrap it around the edges of your canvas if you wanted to. That would make for a nice border around this type of grayscale black and white kind of painting, because it'll make it look nice and finished and you won't feel the need to put a frame around it. And then once you've got this done, we're going to be using this same brush for the next step. So you can just wash it and dry it and get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to do the second step of the hands and the feet. The second layer to the skin, I guess, would be a good a good thing to call this. I'm going to be using my number 8 round brush. The colors I'm going to use are cool gray, warm gray, black, brown, and white. And I'm making myself 2 more custom grays. I'm going to make myself a dark gray and a light gray. And we'll be using that to go in and out of our shadows and to create more depth here. So I have pre-mixed myself both of those colors, which are on my palette here. So this is going to be my light gray, and that's going to be my dark gray. So you can see clearly how different they are from what I already have on my palette. So this one here, my light gray, is mostly white, and I added just a touch of brown and just a touch of black. So it's not super cool, not super warm, just right dead in the middle and nice and light, but not white. So I need room to, and that's actually a little too cool for me. I'm going to add a touch more brown to that. When making a light gray like this and when doing a tonal valued painting like this, it's important to save your lightest lights for last and your darkest darks for last. So I will be reserving the blacks for the deepest, darkest areas and the whites for just that final kind of pop of brightness on any areas that I feel will need it. There's going to be my light gray. I'm going to wash my mixing tool so I can make my dark gray. So my dark gray, I'm going to use the same color combination, which is going to be black, brown, and white, but this time it's going to be mostly black and brown and just a little bit of white. So the black can very easily even take over the brown. So for me, the brown's usually going to be heavier. I'll use a little bit more brown than the black, and then just a touch of white at a time until you get it into the vicinity that you want. I just kind of keep spinning it because that black will start to emerge here in a second here. There we go. I think I need just a touch more white and a touch more black because to me that's too brown. So I'm always cautious when it comes to certain colors that you add because they can really overpower, and then you've got a big pile of paint that you don't need. So I just kind of add a dot at a time. So there we go. That's looking pretty good to me. So I'm going to start with this dark gray and use it not only to establish where my shadowy areas are going to go, but also kind of use it to give me a little bit of a roadmap as to where my fingers and my toes are going to be meeting and all that good stuff. So the light source in the picture, in the photo that I'm looking at, just kind of appears up and maybe a little to the left. So all of these toes and through here and the foot are casting a shadow onto this hand here. This finger is casting a shadow onto the bottom finger, and the bottom finger is also just shadowed by the whole hand. So this bottom finger is pretty dark. There's a real dark shadow between them, and then the bottom side of this finger is pretty dark. In this area, the foot is casting a shadow onto these back 3 fingers, especially these guys right in through here. There's little kind of wrinkle shadows and stuff, but the big shadow is going to be right in through here and in between this finger and this finger. On the ankle here, there's going to be a shadow down at the bottom, and then a shadow underneath this thumb on the foot in through here. And then there's little, so this foot here is not casting too much of a shadow onto the hand, but we'll see little shadows underneath the tips of the toes. So that's where the shadows are going to go. Even on this finger here, there's a little shadow underneath the underside, but it's more just for contour. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm using my dark gray in the shadows, and then as I come out of the shadows to the skin tone, I'm going to transition from my cool gray to my warm gray, and I'm going to do that on both the hands and the feet. These already have the warm gray on them, so they will remain a little bit warmer. These already have the cool gray, so they will remain a little bit cooler, even though I'm going to be using the same colors on top. It'll just give me a great way to harmonize those colors and make them look nice and realistic. So again, I'm starting with my dark gray. I'm going to start in my real dark areas first so I can establish those. So this is definitely going to be in here. And as I'm adding it, it's okay if you get rid of all of your black. We will definitely have a step that's going to push any super dark shadows. Like there's definitely going to be a super dark shadow between these two fingers. But right now I'm just really looking to establish those darker areas. This is super dark in through here. I actually have too much paint on my brush because I used it for mixing, so I'm going to give it a good squeeze in my paper towel. And then I can use that as it's running out of paint. I can kind of just dry brush it out into what would have been the dark cool gray that I used. And then I feel there's about midway down this finger, the knuckle area, so I can just kind of rub on a little bit of darkness in through there. I will blend it into that other gray in a minute. I just want to establish these darker tones first, and then I'll get it to blend more in a minute. This one here is also going to have a dark side on the bottom side. So again, I just have that dark gray. So I'm just kind of rubbing it on here. And I can bring it right almost to that line because it in the photo is feeling like I'm going to see that line anyway. So with a real dry brush here that I'm using, it's allowing me to just get this tone on here and let it take on the color underneath. So that looks fabulous to me. So I'm going to just find this little bump here, start my my little wrinkle there. I've got the little wrinkle in through here. So that looks good. I'm going to go inside here now because I feel like that's a nice super dark area too. So I'm going to just put my dark gray in through here. And again, I will definitely add the black tones also, but this is just going to get me started and understand where all these shadowy marks are gonna live. These two, there's not much shadow between them, so I'm gonna just do as I see in the picture, and I'm seeing like that wrinkle in through there. This is pretty dark in through here. And then this guy right here has got a lot of darkness. So I'm not using a lot of paint on the tip of my brush, but I am using like a dry brush type of technique as I'm coming out of that shadow. So because I'm not using a lot of paint on my brush, that allows me to kind of rub it out and get it to blend a little bit with the color next to it. Again, there's not much of a shadow in between these guys, so I don't really need to do much there, but I'm seeing somewhere in through here is like the little knuckle area, and then somewhere in through here is this knuckle area. So again, these marks I'm making are going to help guide me through that real detail type of stage that I want, that I'm going to be going through later. So this guy in through here, this foot is definitely casting a big old shadow onto the hand in through here. So we're just going to kind of ride this dark gray down like this. I can put it right around these little toes, little cute baby toes. And then I can just get it to blend into the hand. Let's see, it goes pretty dark right in through here. And then, oh, it looks like there's an actual shadow of the toe, of each toe. So I've got a shadow of this toe here, then a shadow of this toe right here. Oh, so it bumps out a little bit. That's fun. Okay, so it bumps out. So I'm going to bump it out. I'm just doing what I see in the picture. Sometimes when I'm looking at these photos to do, I don't notice details like that until I get into it and I'm painting, and then all of a sudden all of these things start emerging to me visibly. This toe is casting a shadow. That's pretty cool. Like that. And then this big one just has a little tiny shadow in through here. Okay, so again, these are just kind of starting me out, letting me know where I need these shadows to go. And then I have a shadow on the back of this ankle here. So this was where it was going to be really important to know where this heel is. So there's dark shadow at the bottom side of the leg. So I'm going to just use this dark gray in through here right up to that finger. And if you feel you have too much paint on your brush, just wipe your brush off on your paper towel, and then you can just kind of grade it out into that neighboring color. Along here, I also have a shadow between the hand, and the shadow kind of goes up that thumb a little bit, and then it's really heavy on the arch of the foot in through here. So again, this is an important place to know where that foot kind of lies, or where that heel lies, because depending on that light source, it looks like we're going to see it just kind of merge into each other, and the light source is making the leg really light back here. So we'll accomplish that. There's also a shadow going up the inside of the foot right in through here. So I'm just going to rub some of this dark tone that I have on my brush in through there. And there's also some at the bottom side of the foot as well. So I'm putting more of the dark gray on my brush, but I don't want to lose where that where the edge of the foot is. So I'm just going to kind of rub this on here. And again, we'll get it a little bit smoother in a minute, but just want to establish all of these dark tones, a little bit darker in through here. And again, just using dry brush kind of technique to establish a little bit darker tones in through here. That's good on those guys. This guy up in through here, I think I just need to add some stuff between the toes so we know where those toes are. I'm going to actually add a tiny bit of water to my dark gray so I can establish where these toes are. So I'm going to kind of just outline them. We have the bumps at the top, so I can just kind of take this and just give myself just a light sketcherly kind of outline of the toes so we can know where they are. So that's going to be that one. I've got this one. They have these little cute bubble tops. And then maybe this one comes a little bit lower. And then this one, little cute bubble tops. Something like this. Oh, this one we're seeing the little, I don't know what it's called, joint. There we go. And then we've got this dark area in through here. It's going to tell us that's the big toe. And then I don't see a ton of darkness on this foot, maybe just a little bit on this side over here. So just using that remnants of the dark gray along this bottom side of the foot. And then we'll get some shadows and stuff in those little toes or under the toes just a little bit. But again, we'll do a little bit more on those as we progress. That looks pretty good. And then I want to outline these toes over here, and then we'll just do a quick coat of the light and cool grays with that, or the warm and cool gray with the light gray. So over on this side, I'm going to outline these toes. So these guys are going to be a little bit different because again, we're seeing them at a different angle. So this one goes in through here, this one, and again, I've got those bumps already at the top to help guide me. We've got little joints in through here, in through here. This joint is down here. That's cute. That looks good. And then this guy here, we've got a shadowy area, something like that. Little creases, but we can do the creases later. I'm having a hard time stopping the creases though. Okay, I'm going to not do creases right now. So the rest of the adult hand, I don't see a ton of firm shadows, so I'm going to just do little shadow in through here just for the contour of that finger. I got that one there. Maybe a little bit at the bottom side of this finger here. That's going to be super dark by the time we're done, so there's just a little skinny shadow down and through there. You could also outline the thumbnail I got one in through here, and then again, I'm just kind of sketching right now to establish where they are. And there's a couple of wrinkles on the knuckle area in through here, just light, nothing major. And then maybe just a little bit of this shadowy color up in through here. So that's pretty good on the start of those shadows. Now I'm going to just blend it just a little bit. So I'm going to come out of the shadows with my cool gray. So I just loaded a little bit of cool gray on my brush just to kind of overlap that into the dark gray. So this is just the cool gray coming out of the shadows and just blending in a little bit with that dark gray. So I'm really just kind of adding a second layer on here just to get these shadows to blend just a little bit. So with that cool gray coming out of the shadows and just kind of rubbing it over those edges, that looks good. Even on the foot. So I need to incorporate some of this cool gray in the feet to get them to tie to the adult hands. So I can take a little bit of that cool gray and just rub it near those shadowy areas and kind of overlap it a little bit. And that'll give me a nice harmonization with the exterior pieces of the adult hands. But I'm not overdoing it. I'm not taking away all that shadow that I did. I can even put a little bit of this. Oh, I need some shadow on those toes too. Put a little bit here. I'm going to put just a little bit of this cool gray over here. Just a tiny bit of the cool gray I'm going to put up in through here. And then I'll do the same thing with the warm gray on the adult hands. Oh, maybe a little bit of the cool gray right here too. There we go. And then I'm going to pick up some of the warm gray and do this opposing thing on the adult hand. So I just picked up some of the warm gray. I've already kind of come out of the shadows as much as I want to, so I don't really need to do too much other than just kind of adding a little bit of this warmth to the skin tone. So going more in the areas that I think are going to be the lighter areas, or the areas that are going to come nearer to the viewer. So again, this is just the warm gray, allowing myself to have a connection between the skin tones from the baby to the adult, and also allowing just a nice kind of easy layering process, putting some of this warm gray up and through here. You could be doing this also with like a bristle brush, or something that allows you this scumbling type of brush stroke, because you can see I'm not using a ton of paint on my brush. I put a little bit on and then I just kind of scrub it into or on top of those other layers. So this way it gives me, again, that fabulous layering appearance. And again, just a little bit on my brush, taking into consideration that I still want some of those cool tones to be evident, so I'm not overdoing it. I'm thinking that I'm digging that, maybe just a little bit of the warm tone up and through here. And then I'm going to just use a tiny bit of that light tone in just a couple of areas. So I just picked up a little bit of that light color, and I'm just going to put it in a couple of strategic areas, my areas where I feel I'm going to pop those colors the most. And I will do much more of this with the light gray in a future step, but right now I just wanted to pop a couple areas that I know are going to be wanting a lot of lightness. So just getting that process started just a little bit. I don't know how much more of that I want to do. Maybe just a touch on the toe and through here. And you could also, as you're doing this, you might find that you want to switch to the smaller brush or a different kind of brush. I feel like that's about as far as I want to bring this. I don't really want to, I just picked up some of the warm gray. I don't really want to go too much further. I want to kind of give it a little bit of a rest, and I definitely want to use a different brush for the for additional painting. So I'm going to call it on this step, and then we will, I'm going to switch to my number 3 round for the next step. So you can just, you know, get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish the skin on the adult hands. I'm going to use my number 3 round. I might switch to my number 8 round in the larger areas, but I don't know. If I do, I'll let you know. I'm going to be using black, light gray, warm gray, and maybe dark gray. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to use any of that cool gray, but if I do, I'll let you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish the finer details. So I've got the idea of the form right now, and I know where all my shadows are going to be. I know where my major wrinkles are going to be with the joints and stuff. Now I just want to fine tune it. I'm not going for photorealism here. I just want to give myself a good representation. I'm going to do the fingernails on a separate step. So we're going to save those because I think they are a little bit more tricky. So we're going to be doing just the skin. I'm going to start with black with a little bit of water on my brush. So really thinned out version of black paint, so I can get into the super dark areas. Like I'm going to have some black in here. I'm going to have some black in this one in through here, on the side where the baby foot meets in through here. So I've got a couple of really dark areas that I want to establish. So that's where I'm headed first. So I've got my watered down black on my brush, and the idea of it being watered down is going to allow me the liberty of putting it where I want and then kind of blending it out with it having a little transparency to it. So if I want this area to be a little bit darker up here, I can use that transparent black to tone that a deeper tone. I can use the black thicker with less water inside, like where these two fingers are meeting. That's going to give me the dimensional element, but when I want it to grade out and meet the lighter areas, that's when I can use the watered down version or just add a bit of water to my brush, and that's going to allow me to grade it out into wrinkles. So let me just kind of get my brush going here, and I can just kind of bring it out into those lighter areas. I've got some wrinkles here, so I can pull out some of this watered down black, and that's going to allow me again to just kind of blend it into that wrinkly area. And if you've needed to blend it even more, you can always, you know, pick up a little bit more of it being watered down and just blend it out a little bit more, or you can pick up some of your dark gray. So I can pick up a little bit of my dark gray and just get those two colors to blend well together. I like using my rounds for a lot of different tasks, but you might find for a step like this that a smaller, more a brush with shorter bristles on it might benefit you a little bit more. I just picked up a little bit more of my dark gray because I feel like this is too light in through here. So I want to just kind of add a little bit more dark gray onto this finger here, because this finger I really want to just kind of sneak in the shadows and us hardly see it. And once I get, you know, this area kind of established, I think that looks pretty good. You could clean up any edges if you needed to. Like I feel I have a little bit of black edge that could be cleaned up. Oh, and you can use it as a kind of redefining if you want to reshape the edges or the skin. If you want the skin to look any more wrinkled or different, you can use black along the edges, because we use black for the background. So that would help you do that. I feel like there could be a little darker area in this knuckle and through here. There we go. And then I'll just move on to the next finger. So my next finger up in through here, I've got a lot of black where the foot meets the hand. So I just picked up my watered down black and my line myself to go really dark in through here, because that's what I'm seeing in the photo, and it just kind of disappears right into the black in through there. And then I can blend this out. First, let me just, I think there's more black around these little toes in through here. So just put that little bit of black. This can kind of creep up here a little bit more. So you can see where that dark gray that we used initially was definitely beneficial, because now I'm sitting here and I'm saying, okay, well, I need these little shadows to go darker. So I'm using that dark gray that we already established as my kind of my blending agent to get out of these shadows. So I'm just using a little bit of black in these little crevices, and then I blend it out to that dark gray. So that allows for that transition. And if you felt that you wanted it to come even further, like in through here, if I want it to look like the finger is kind of dented down a little bit, I can just pick up a little bit more watered down black, maybe a little bit of watered down gray, and get this to kind of blend out just a little bit more. There we go. And then I think I'm going to go just a little bit more water on my brush just to kind of transition this over in through here. That looks nice. And then I can work on this guy. I am going to switch to my number 8 round. This is too big of a area for me to just use a smaller brush. I'm actually going to use on this finger, I'm going to use some of that light gray right in through here. So my lighter area is going to be in through here. I also have it in through here. So if you're feeling the light gray is too light, like I definitely want it to be the brightest on the feet later, I picked up my light gray plus my warm gray. So I can use light gray plus my warm gray in order to get this lightness to the fingers without making them too bright. And again, that's just to control the values. And this is going to just kind of fade in up in through here, gets a little bit darker, and then it drops and gets really dark at the bottom side of the finger, which we've already established. So I just need that highlight to just kind of blend down into that shadow, and now I've got my bright finger. If your finger looks too flat or too narrow, then you'll want to bring that highlight more towards the right. So give it a minute, and if this is up too high, like I feel like mine might be up a little too high in through here, I can just bring that highlight back to the right just a little bit more. That looks good. Up in through here, I feel like I could get away with some more of just that the warm gray plus a little bit of light gray to just give myself a second coat up in through here to get this a little bit, or another coat up in through here to just give myself those lighter values and just kind of blend it towards that shadow. And that's probably all I'm going to need to do for that area. Something like this in through here. It looks like there's a little bit of darkness here from the thumb kind of bending, so I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my warm gray plus a tiny bit of my dark gray. Right in through here, I'm seeing it's a little bit darker, so just to give that a little bit of a depth where it kind of bends in a little bit. And then right along here, I just need a nice coat of something, so I'm going to go with a touch of my dark gray plus my warm gray just to get this to be complete in through here where it meets that little foot, because it's a little shadowed, but it's not a lot. So this just kind of closes that off. And then just blend this up in through here. This is nice. I like this color in through here, so just releasing whatever little remnants off of my brush. And through here, I might need my smaller brush for that, but I'm going to pick up now my number 3 round so I can finish this little finger here. A little bit of my dark gray to just kind of close off this interior. I don't really feel I need any black in through here. I feel like if I do go black, I might make it too dark, but I could probably make that determination as well when I go to do the foot or the fingernail, if I feel it needs to be any lighter or darker. And then just a little bit of my dark gray plus a touch of water. I need little tiny wrinkles here on the finger. That looks nice. And then just going into my light gray plus my warm gray to establish just this final little highlight here on the top. Touch of water on my brush right now. So the knuckle, if you want it to pop out a little bit, just make sure it's a little bit lighter. That looks good. And then switching back to my 8 with a touch of water on my brush just to get this top side to be a little bit cleaner of an edge, and then just kind of bringing this highlight back. So the highlight, again, is helping establish the form. So I'm just bringing that back just a little bit. That looks pretty good, and we'll tackle that finger later. So I'm going to do the same thing over here on the left side. I'm going to tackle these little fingers first. So the small round, a touch of black. I'm not going to use water on the black right now because I know I want it really dark right in through here. So just black as black it is. And then as I come under this little foot, I'm seeing that it's taking on a lot of the shape of this shadow is taking on the shape of the finger here. So I've got it kind of coming up through here. I'm going to start using a tiny bit of water on my brush to give myself the ability to pull this black further, give little shadow makers, shadow makers. So there's water on my brush right now in order to blend out my black into these little crevices. And then I think I just need a little bit of black down in through here and over on this side in through here. So right now, again, just using a little bit of watered down black paint to get into these little crevices and to blend it out into what we already established as the gray, the dark gray. So a little bit of water on my brush, I can just kind of pull it out. And then these guys in through here, I don't feel like I need to do a whole heck of a lot. I'm going to use a little bit of water on my brush to get rid of my chalk marks. See what I've got revealed for the edges in through here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my dark gray plus my warm gray just to get myself out of these shadow areas without them being too bright. So this is dark gray plus warm gray. So I've got little bits of darkness, but without going too. There we go. That looks good. And then I need something in through here. And then I'm going to just pick up a little bit of my warm gray and allow myself to make sure that I've got it fully painted. So this is a little bit of the warm gray. And around those edges, if they're looking too liney around the black, you can always pick up a tiny bit of watered down black and just kind of, again, clean up those edges. I just picked up a little bit because my edge over there was a little funky looking. And I don't want these bottom fingers to be too bright, so I don't think I'm going to pull in any of that light color. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more of my dark gray on this guy. Again, I'm just kind of gaining my inspiration from from the photo. And then this guy right here, I'm going to pick up a little bit of watered down black to get the edge between this finger and this finger here. So just a little bit of my watered down black to clean up that edge. And then I can get this to blend out with, again, I have water on my brush. So I say it a lot, and there, you know, a lot of the stuff I do, I repeat what I say because it's just what I'm doing. And when I'm working my way in and out of these shadows, for me, it's just so easy, or it's, you know, much easier to just kind of use that watered down process to give myself some nice fluid lines. I'm picking up a little bit of my dark gray plus water right now. Give myself the ability to just smooth things out, blend them the way that I want them to be blended. Down on this side over here, I'm definitely probably going to pick up my other brush. I just picked up a little bit more of my dark gray to get myself out of this shadow in through here. Feel like there's just a little more pull here. All right, I'm switching back to the number 8 because this is a big finger. So washing and dry my number 8. I just need a little shadow underneath here. So I'm picking up a touch of my dark gray to establish what appears to be kind of just the knuckle region. So a little bit of the dark gray. And then down at this side over here, it looks like we just have a couple of darker areas to for just where the joints are. So as I'm doing this, you can obviously tell I'm being very carefree with my brush stroke. I'm just kind of bringing this over to the edge to get rid of my chalk marks. And then I'm going to allow myself to use this brush to just kind of rub this up. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the dark gray plus my tan. I mean, my warm gray. I told you it's got a lot of warmth in it, so my brain tells me, oh, it's tan. And then that gives me that little bit of darkness on this bottom side. I don't like this edge here, so I'm going to wash my brush and I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. So I washed my brush, pick up a little bit of black because I need to clean up this edge. And it was too straight for me, so I'm using, it was too straight and it was not finished looking to me, so I just used my little bit of black on my brush. And then I can also use a touch of water with my black to just kind of bring in these little wrinkles right around the edges, nothing major, but that just helps make it look a little bit more natural. I'm going to pick up my warm gray right now with my dirty brush and a touch of my light gray to get these lighter areas. So warm gray plus light gray on my dirty brush. Give myself these lighter areas right around where that finger is going to pop out the most to the viewer. I think I have too much black on my brush. I'm washing my brush. Warm gray plus light gray going right in this center area of the finger. So that will give me my light zone, keeping it a little bit darker where those knuckles are, and then just giving it a good blend out with the side of my brush. And bringing it over, just allowing myself to blend it out. That looks good. I'm going to just kind of go up in through here. This is probably going to be most likely just my warm gray plus the light gray. It's going to be definitely, just looking here, we got light up in through here, light kind of right in through here, and then definitely light right here, but I don't want to run out of, I don't want my paint to dry too fast, so we're going to just put this in through here. So this is light gray plus warm gray in through there, kind of up in through here. And then I'm going to pick up my warm gray to get this to blend in the middle. There we go. That looks good. So what I'm seeing in the photo is that the thumb kind of comes here, and then this is the knuckle. areas. So the knuckle popped out a little bit more. This area and through here had a little bit of highlight on it, which makes it look like it's kind of grasping onto the young person's foot. And then we got just a little bit of a highlight in through here. So those are the areas that, you know, where they're the highlighted the most, they're gonna show that contour. I'm picking up a little bit of watered down dark gray to add these little wrinkles in through here. We've already got that established in through there. A couple more wrinkles right in through here. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of my light gray on my dirty brush to just pop this little light zone. Picking up some warm gray. And then just kind of backing it into those little wrinkles in through there. Picking up some light gray. There's a light area right in through here. And then it just kind of fades out. And this will kind of have more impact when we see the fingernail on there. And then over and through here, I'm going to pick up some of my warm gray. I think this is going to be mostly just warm gray with just a tiny shadow from those toes, or just from the hand being maybe pushed in a little bit. So I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of my dark gray plus water, just a little smudge around these toes, hardly any. Picking up my warm gray just to blend it out. And then right around these toes. And then light gray and warm gray. Just to close up this little area. And then once I've got it to this stage, I know for me, I'm definitely going to step back and look at it from a distance and see if there's any little adjustments I feel I could make on the hands to make them feel like they've got any more important form that's needed. But I feel as though right now I've got it in a pretty good place. I'm putting a little bit of black plus water on my brush just to get this area in her finger, just a smudge darker. Oh, and this little hand right here. Picking up a little bit of warm gray right here. I feel like this is not fully done. So I will step back from mine and look at it from a distance and see if there's any little adjusting that I feel could be done, which I would recommend that you do the same. And then once you've got it to a place that you are comfortable with, we're going to use probably both these brushes for the next step, the number 3 and the number 8 round. So you can just wash them and dry them. As I'm like, I want this finger lighter. Wash them and dry them and get ready for the next step. All right, so what I'm going to do for the next step is I'm going to finish the baby's feet. I'm going to be using both my number 3 and my number 8 round. The colors I'm going to use are black, dark gray, warm gray, light gray, and maybe a touch of white. And if I use any other colors, I'll let you know. So I'm going to just approach it same way I did with the hands, which is kind of hit those really deep dark spots. Like I want a couple of black spots in between these toes over here as well. And then I've got to finish this little ankle area in through here, and then we'll just give some very gentle baby wrinkles on the bottom of the feet and finish up that that process, and maybe some little highlights on the toes. So I'm going to start with my number 3 round with some watered down black paint on my brush, and I'm going to get into those deep dark little crevices of the toes. So just a teeny bit of black. So I already have established where those little shadows are going to go. Now I'm just amping them up. So I'm going to take and I'm looking at my photo and I'm saying, where are those super dark little areas that are going to really push these shadows kind of deep into or give the toes a lot of dimension. There's actually this one in through here, comes into the toe in through here. And again, the watered down aspect of the black on my brush allows me to blend it out. So again, I start pretty dark in that little spot that I want. That was too much paint on my brush. And then I don't need these to blend out very far, which is why I'm being a little reserved here. This one doesn't even really need to blend out all that much at all. A little bit more on the tip of my brush. There's a nice little dark little crevice right here. those little spots are the spots that are going to really just tell, you know, how, you know, cute little round these toes are. So this comes down and through here, and then we've got a little darkness right in this spot here with the big toe. So deep dark, and then it comes out into the light. So it's going to be, again, the darkest right in that crevice, and then it kind of comes out into the light. Some of these other ones, they don't come out very far, so that's why I'm not really doing a whole heck of a lot to them. Just watching these top ones as well. Make sure I've got that doing what it's supposed to be doing. I think that looks pretty good in through there. I've got a funny top to that toe. We'll fix that with some highlights. Down back here, it looks like I should kind of get that to blend a little bit. Just looking around to that foot to see if there's any other super dark shadows that I need, and I think that's good on those. So I'm going to come over to this left hand, our left hand toe. There's definitely a really dark one in through here, and it just kind of fades out. We've got a dark spot in through here, and you can see the dark spots that I'm doing, they're not taking up a whole lot of area on the toe, but they're definitely going to have a huge impact as to the form of the toes. So when you're doing stuff like this, that, you know, I obviously started with my kind of mid-tone, the tone that I felt I saw the most of in the photo, and I switched it up a little bit from the adult hands to the baby feet, simply because I wanted you to be able to see the difference between them. But as I'm building, just these little nuances of these tiny dark marks that I'm finding the appropriate place to put, they're so important if you want that dimension. Now I've got I see a really dark area in through here. I need to darken up the bottom of this foot in through here, so I'm going to kind of almost just blend, let the edge of the foot disappear, not totally disappear, but definitely almost disappear into the blackness. So that way it really just gives it a nice rounded edge. That looks nice. And then I feel like I want just a little bit more kind of pulled out into that hand. There we go, that looks good. So now what I'm gonna do, just a little bit more in this little toe. So that looks pretty good. I got all my dark areas. I feel like I need a little shadow at the bottom side of these toe tips. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of my dark gray, plus some, I'm gonna wash my brush first so I don't have any black on there. So I'm going a little bit of dark gray on my brush so I can get a little bit more shadow on the bottom side of the tips of these toes, because they're gonna look flat if I don't do this. So, and they look super bubbly in the photo, so I need to add more shadow down in through this bottom side. I don't want it to go black, that's why I'm just using the dark gray. And then if I need to make the black even blacker, I can certainly do that. But I definitely felt like I needed a little bit more darkness for that bubbly part of the toe. There we go, that looks good. And this side doesn't have much of it, just a little bit more shadow there, a little bit more gradiated shadow in through there, a little bit on this toe, in through here. And then, oh, this toe has a little bit right here. So this is, again, I'm adding the little bit more shadow with the dark gray in order to, brought that one up a little bit too high, that's okay, in order to give the bubbliness of the toes. That's the only word I got for you. And then maybe just a little bit of this dark gray, a little bit more in through here. There we go. That looks pretty good. And I'm just sticking my head back a second before I start adding those light colors on. Making sure I've got everywhere dark that I want. So I think that that looks pretty good. I'm going to switch brushes now to my larger brush, my number 8 round, and now I'm going to just kind of smooth everything out. I feel like I've got a lot of good stuff established. I want some more of this light tone probably in this part of this foot, but not down here because this in the photo is really dark. This whole heel needs to get brighter, and I want to add some little baby wrinkles, and the toe tips need to get lighter. So I'm going to use my dark gray plus a little bit of my warm gray and water, like really watered down to establish my little baby wrinkles. I already kind of got a couple in through here, but I want some more, so I'm going to go a little bit more, and you can always add more paint. What I would suggest is just kind of going slow into it. I've got a couple little baby wrinkles in through here. I'm watching the photo to see where these wrinkles go to. So like this one kind of split between this toe and this toe. So that allows me to just give it a nice realistic feel. If I can determine in the photo where those little areas are, it will help guide me into making this look very representational of this specific little person's foot. I'm adding a touch more dark gray onto my brush. I can add some of this darkness in through here because this is where it's really dark in the photo, so I'm allowing that to happen. We've got that little, ooh, there's a wrinkle right up in through here, and again, I don't need every single thing exactly as it is in the photo, but if you are looking for, you know, to have that very representational image of a specific person or a specific thing, just being able to catch stuff like that will help guide you through it. I just picked up a little bit more of my dark gray plus a touch of water so I can clean up this edge and maybe just put a little bit more darkness in through here. Again, just looking for the dark spots on the photo and just amping them up. There's a pretty dark spot in through here, so this is going to show the little wrinkle or kind of crink in the bottom of the foot as it's being held. So like that. This up here, I'm using dark gray to push this in just a smudge more, and then this I need to get it to blend into that ankle, so I'm just going to kind of pull a couple of little wrinkles in that direction, and then the edge of this heel gets a little bit of lightness, so I'm going to pick up a touch of my warm gray to close off this corner in through here. So this is where I'm starting to really get rid of all of my my guidelines. That looks pretty good on the bottom of this foot. You can also put a touch of water on your brush to smooth out any, you know, little rough spots. If you have the remnants of a color on your brush, you can just use a touch of water to smooth it out. I'm going to pick up a touch of black to get this little ankle to go, just to get a little bit more darkness right in through here, because I definitely feel like that needs to have quite a bit of darkness in through there, but I'm leaving a tiny hint of the edge of it so the viewer understands that that is in fact part of the body. And then I can pick up some of my light gray to get right up into this corner up in through here. This is the leg, so I don't necessarily want this to look like a curved line underneath the finger, so I put that wet paint on there, and then I'm going to just blend it down so it blends into that gray, that darker gray. So I just have that highlight back there. That looks good. I'm going to smooth out this foot here. I'm just going to go light gray right now because I feel like I can do that. So just some additional light gray. Oh, I didn't put any wrinkles on this foot. Let me just blend out this light gray, and then I'll put some little wrinkles. A little bit on this too. And this kind of comes down. So I already did this light gray before. Now I'm just kind of putting another layer on it to smooth it out a bit, but I neglected the little baby feet wrinkles, so I'm gonna have to do that in a second here once I got this blended out the way that I want. All right, so my little baby feet wrinkles on this one, again, I'm going into that really watered down dark gray. So there's a tiny one. Ooh, this one's a little bit difficult, or a little bit more tricky than the other one. So maybe somewhere in through here, and then a little mark up like that, a little mark there, a little light mark there. So just these little tiny, really subtle. This one is kind of like a wrinkle dip in the foot. A little wrinkle dip in the foot's coming right in between these toes. So we've already got that little shadow established. So these little shadowy marks that I'm also making in through here are gonna kind of tell a little bit more of that form. Okay, and we've got, I see a little bit of a wrinkly thing. Oh, that we've already started over here. I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna start picking up my light gray to get my bright parts of my toes on, so light gray. This is going to be where I really establish these bright spots on these toes. So top, kind of left, but not tippy top of the toe. I mean, not like the top, but the top, the top to your canvas, not the top to the toe. And I don't know if that makes any sense. And then just blend it out. And if you can't get it to blend like I do, because I can feel when the paint is drying, and I move the paint until it can't be moved anymore. You can use a firmer brush for something like this. This is gonna get the highlight in through here, and then rub back. Oh, this one's got a cute little highlight right here too. Make that little part of the foot even rounder. There we go. And then on this foot, I'm thinking we need more on this heel. So again, I'm just in my light gray right now, and there's a lot on this heel. So bringing this right down. You can see now as I'm amping up the highlight in this one, how much darker that other foot really is. And you know, something like that, this is such a great painting to practice your grayscale with, or just, you know, your tonal values, because you don't really notice stuff like that. I mean, you can, but it's sometimes difficult to see stuff like that when you're working in full color. So allowing yourself, you know, these exercises to practice your value skills, it really helps you to see a lot of stuff in a more valuable way with the values. But it allows you to get these a lot of depth into the paintings. There's these cute little highlights on these little baby rolls in through here. But you can really amp up your skill set. I'm going warm gray plus light gray right now as I go towards the back side of this foot, so it's not all as bright as this. But these are the kind of exercises that can really just get your skills where you never expected they could be. And just kind of practicing with the values and practicing how to get areas to have volume and dimension to them, and just being able to see those different tones, it really helps out. Right in through here I need to lighten up, but I'm going to use my warm gray because I know that it's going to be lighter than what's on there. This is going to be flat in the bottom of the foot for me because it was looking a little bit too round. So this is going to flatten that. And then I just need to blend it out with that dark gray on this right side. So that was a problem that I was just seeing, was that the foot was almost dropped off too early. So I had to bring my highlight more towards the right. So that allowed me to bring that part of the foot a little bit fuller. Now I can pick up a little bit more of my light gray and just kind of work this in. So really, I thought that I was going to be making many more shades of gray throughout this painting, but because I'm using them each to my benefit and establishing areas that they work in, I didn't need to make any additional colors. I can just use them with each other to create additional shades of gray. But using that cool shade at the bottom really helped to establish kind of like a foundation for the baby's feet versus the adult feet. And you could, of course, have gone with a different process by, you know, even using different colors within your paint. You could have added red or blue or anything like that. I think that looks great. I'm moving over to this left side because I don't think it needs as much work as that one. I'm going for my light gray to put my highlights on the tops of my toes. But this side is different than that side. This side doesn't seem as light. So I'm actually using my warm gray plus my light gray. I'm looking at the photo and it's just not as light as the other one. So I'm going to just use my better judgment here and use both of those tones to get these light parts of the toes. And I am now getting rid of the line between the toe and the hand. So that's going to allow my guideline to disappear. And if you needed to switch brushes, feel free to switch brushes to the smaller one, but I'm feeling like I'm doing pretty good with this one, so I wipe my brush off. I'm wiping the excess paint off of the canvas as I'm doing this to just get these little toes to blend in. I got a little trouble spot right here. I'm going to go dark gray, get this little trouble spot to resolve itself. There we go. And then a little bit of my light gray. There we go. Going for some light gray and warm gray. Get myself a little highlight going on in here. Little highlights in through here. So again, I'm kind of mid-tone highlighting right now in order to get these parts of the foot to pop out. And what I'm doing is I'm getting this part of the foot to look like it's closer to the viewer than this part, because I'm using these lighter values, which is what I'm seeing in the photo. And I don't know if I would have seen as much of this again if it was full color, because I could have been distracted by the cute pinks of the baby's skin, or the pretty fingernails of the lady. Those kind of things can really just easily distract you and you not see the details. I just picked up a little bit of my warm gray, get these little kind of brighter spots as they go near those wrinkles. And then I got some lighter tones up here. So again, I'm just looking for those values, where they're lighter, where they sink in a bit. The lighter part is the part that's puffing out to you, to the viewer the most. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit of my dark gray on my dirty brush with water, because I feel like this needs to be smoothed out just a little bit more. So that helps me to do that. And I think those feet look adorable. So I think I'm gonna call it on the feet. I do need to finish maybe a couple little details in the fingernails, so I'm going to use my small brush for the next step, the number 3 round, so you can just get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the fingernails and any little fine-tuned details that I feel might benefit me to finish up the painting. So I think I'm just going to be using my number 3 round. The colors I'm going to use are white, light gray. I might use some brown, black, and I'll call out any other colors as I use them, but I don't know if I'm going to use any others. So I'm going to start with a little bit of watered down black, excuse me, to outline where I want these fingernails to go. So very watered down again. I'm just going to kind of sketch them on here. I've already kind of established them, but now I want to give it a little bit more detail. So I'm going to go in where there would be kind of like a shadow around the fingernail. And again, hardly any. Like this one, I'm nervous because I don't even really want to do much, but I know I need that that black to kind of clean up my edges where it's meeting the background or wherever else you feel that it would benefit you. So maybe just a tiny bit to show the difference between the nail and the skin as well. So that would work out in through there. On the other finger, I feel I need more of this shadow at the nail bed. So I'm going to kind of put a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive with this one. This is kind of a square type of nail bed. Everybody's got different nail beds. So the one that I'm painting on here is inspired by the photo that I'm looking at. So if you want yours to be more round, if you want yours to be more of anything else, that's totally up to you. It does not have to be exactly as mine. I just am rubbing this out so it's not too solid of a line. Then I have the underside. This one's got a short fingernail, so I'm going to just kind of take and bring a little shadow underneath what's going to be the edge of the fingernail in through there. And you can see I'm hardly using any paint on my brush. I'm just going to be very cautious. Maybe just a tiny bit more, just right where it's going to meet up in through here so we can actually see it. That looks good. All right, so now that I've got that established, I'm going to wash my brush. And I'm going to start with my light gray. I'm going to put this person has kind of one of those moon things down at the nail bed as well as a little fingernail. So I'm going to use my light gray to put those in place. So this is just the light gray. Looks like we've got a little fingernail in through here. And one of the things with fingernails is where the actual whites of the nail meets the nail bed, unless you've got a manicured fingernail that's been painted that way, it's not going to be a firm line. Even the whites at the nail bed, it's not going to be a firm line. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to actually pick up a little bit of water on my brush and give myself soft edges into the regular colored part of the skin. So I just don't want it to be a super firm line. So I'm just lightening up that area as opposed to making a firm line. So again, this is my light gray with a touch of water on my brush. On the edge here, this fingernail comes to here. So I'm gonna, the end of it can be a clean line, that would make sense, but the actual, where the white meets the colored part of your, meets the nail bed. That was a tough one. It wouldn't necessarily be a firm line. So I can just take a little bit of water on my brush and get those two to blend in a little bit together. So that looks nice. So I've established where the nail beds or the whites and the edges are. Now I just want to give a little bit of form to the finger. So I'm going to put a highlight in through here and maybe some little bit shadowy tones. So I'm going to pick up a touch of my, a touch more of my light gray. And I'm going to put, when I do this, I am actually going to be using some of my, my warm gray and my cool gray too, so I can get some different values in here. So I just picked up some of my light gray. I'm going to put this right over this top part in through here. Then I'm going to pick up some of my warm gray and bring it down into this edge down in through here. And again, you can add a little bit of water onto your brush just to get them to kind of smoothen. I might amp up that, I probably need to amp up that little light part again in a minute, but at least I know where they are. And then I can just keep adding a little bit of water onto my brush and get that to blend out. And if I felt I needed to go into any other color, like my light, my warm gray or my cool gray, I can certainly do that. So like I feel I want to put a little bit of my warm gray up in through here, and then maybe a little bit of my cool gray, just to get them to kind of have a little bit of different values to them. And you can see how it's just kind of taking shape. Oops, dropped my brush, hold on a second. Sometimes it just goes flying out of my hand. But I definitely want this to look lighter than, because it looks lighter than the skin in the photo. So I think I actually have to kind of amp this up a little bit. I'm going more light gray. I'm going to most likely have to put that white back in the little moon part. I might, and the edge of the nail, because I'm watching the photo and it's just much lighter than the finger itself. So I just have to keep going lighter because I thought it was not this light. But when I'm seeing it next to the other colors on the photo, I'm saying, oh, it is just that light. So you just have to go with what, you know, even if you think you know what you're doing with that color choice initially, it might not be the right choice once you get onto that canvas. So that was definitely, you know, I'm going to have to work a little harder at that because I didn't make the right choice coming out of the gate. I'm going to pick up some of my light gray now for this nail in through here. And now that I know how much lighter it is, but I also see a shadow on the side of this nail, on the left side of it. So I'm going to work with that in a minute. I'm picking up some of my warm gray to just get this to blend out. And again, I'm going to probably come back in with another layer of that light gray for the nail bed itself. I'm picking up a touch of my dark gray. So dark gray too, because I see in the picture that I can actually see the edge of this nail in front of my leg. So I'm going to do it. And then this is definitely a little darker right here too. Oh yeah, that's looking good. I need the skin to be lighter right here as I'm looking at it. So I'm picking up some light gray and warm gray. Light gray and warm gray because it looks like I need to puff the skin out a little bit more. So light gray and warm gray. Get this to puff out just a little bit more and just a touch around. So the skin around the fingernail would pop out a little bit more naturally. So that's where I need that value to be a little bit more full. So I added a little bit more lightness, picking up a little bit of dark gray just to get this to blend into that shadow. Here we go. And again, I'm just watching what I'm seeing in the photo. So if it was a different shaped finger, there might be a couple of different things I'd be saying right now. But I'm going with the shape of this finger. That looks good. I'm wiping my brush off, picking up a little bit more of my light gray in through there. Now I'm picking up some of my warm gray, so I can add just a little bit of these tones in through here. I'm digging what's happened with this up here, so I don't want to mess with it too much, but I definitely need to lighten this up. So I just add a little bit more of my light gray. So now my light gray is just going to keep getting lighter and lighter the more layers I put on, because it's going to stop seeing what's under the colors underneath it. It'll become more opaque. I like the subtlety of this nail, the white of the nail here. So I'm not going to probably do too much more there, and maybe just a little bit more in through here to give the hint of that. And then I might just pop a tiny bit of white on for a little bit of a shine, because that's looking pretty good to me. And then I can pick up just a tiny bit of actual white, and if you felt that you wanted to put like maybe just a little shine, you could just pop just a little tiny bright mark in through there. That'll make it look a little bit more shiny. And then it's just all about doing little fiddles and little touch-ups. So I feel like I need to clean up this edge here. I just clean my brush off. I picked up a little bit of black, so I can just kind of clean up the edge of this foot, and any other little adjustments that you feel would be beneficial, such as pushing back a shadow, like in through here. If I felt that this finger needed to be a little bit more narrow right here at the thumb, I could just push that shadow back a little bit, and that'll make that thumb look a little bit more narrow. And then I just kind of look around and see if there's anything else that I might want to do. And once you've got all of your little spots in a place that is, you know, exciting to you, we are going to be using this same small brush for the last step. I'm just adding a little bit more lightness on the end of this finger in through here, so you can just wash and dry this brush. If you can ever stop, this is the fun part. I love doing these little touch-ups as you go through the end here. So you can, once you've got yours in a place that you're digging, you can wash and dry this little round brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so we are on to the final step. This is the final step of every painting, which is to sign it. So I typically sign mine in the lower left or the lower right. I think I'm going to go lower left on this one with my dark gray. I like to sign mine with my initials, but you of course can sign yours however you want. You can make up a fun symbol, you can sign it with your full name. Some people like to sign it on the back. Some people don't like to sign it at all. You can do whatever you want with it because it's your painting and you get to identify it however you would like. And that's going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you learned a couple of things about grayscale and you painted yourself a very sentimental image. And I look forward to painting and sipping with you again sometime.